For our next step, we are actually going to export this to USD, and we're going to compress our textures. Now, this scene will actually have dozens of 2K textures, and that's too large to fit into the iOS and ARKit rendering. So we can't do a direct USDZ export. So we're going to do a normal USD export with separate textures, then we're going to compress the textures, and then generate a USDZ file. So we're going to need to resize many of these images at once, and for this we're going to use a tool called Image Magic. I'll put the link in the descriptions below. So we're going to, for this, we want the Windows binary release here. Go ahead and click this and download it. Okay, now let's install this. All right, and now there is one thing we have to make sure we're doing. Default location is fine. That's fine. Now we want to install FFmpeg. We're going to need that for super dailies, and we actually also want to install our legacy utilities because we're going to be using a utility called Mogrify that's only in the legacy utilities. Click next, and then finally install. All right, and finish. The Mac version of Image Magic requires Homebrew, so you can probably wait just a little bit for integrated texture downsizing in the Blender USD build, and that's probably a better way to solve it. So next we're going to go File, Export, Universal Scene Description, and in this case we're actually going to build a right-click New Folder, and we're going to build a USD subfolder in our main Sci-Fi Polar Scene folder. And this is going to be our staging ground for generating our USD and USDZ files. And we'll make our Sci-Fi Polar Night 01. And the rest of the settings are similar to how we already did with USDZ exports. We don't have any animation in the scene. We're going to export the visible only. We're going to scroll down, going to change the orientation as before. We're going to uncheck Convert to MDL, convert to USD Preview, so surface shaders, and we're going to uncheck Convert World Material. And a couple other important things. We're going to export textures, but we're not going to overwrite our textures. And the reason we do this is that once we export it, and then we go through and do a command line resize of all those textures, when we re-export this file, because for different versions of this, we don't have to go back and recompress those textures. It's not going to overwrite them. So that's really useful for a faster workflow. So we're going to export USD, and it's going to write out the USD file. Let's see down here. Then we're going to go up to our path bar, click on this, copy, come back over to PowerShell, type in CD space and then Control V to paste that. And so now we've moved PowerShell to the local textures directory. Great. So we can list, we can see ls gives us a listing, and now we can use an Image Magic command, which is Mogrify -resize 512 by 512 star.png. Now what Mogrify is going to do is it's going to resize all these files, but it's going to keep them in place. It's going to resize the existing file in the same location. I'm going to click return, and over here we can see start to see our files being changed. If we look closely at our size, you can see up here the files are being resized, and these large file sizes are going to start decreasing as Mogrify works through the list. So Mogrify is done. So now we've resized all the textures.